Welcome, Media Men Online. I'm Dan. This is Isaiah.
What's up?
And welcome back to our still... I think at one point we were going with screen players, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
We still never landed on anything. But we're going to talk some news, movies. I'm going to talk a little bit about Destiny, because the first saga, the 10-year epic saga, epic I put in heavy quotes, is coming to a close. The final DLC is coming out on Tuesday, actually a week from today.
You should put the E and the P in capitals, and then the I and the C are lowercase.
Yeah. Because it's kind of epic.
Progression. It was epic.
Yeah, and then it's but then it's Bungie.
Out at the end.
You should see these mother flippers. You should see the type of people they roll out for their we have a Vidoc for the final shape. You should see the type of people. You know these ogres aren't working on the game. It's so funny. It's like we have our checkbox individual here. I tried to watch it today. I'm just like, this person isn't doing a single thing on the game. Maybe just make the horrible NPCs they have. But they're bringing Cade 6 back.
See, that's the cool thing about like the Genshin streams they do and whatnot. It's like, here's people who are actually working on the game, and the guy who heads it is like the lead developer of the studio and whatnot. And so it's like, like the people they have doing this stuff when it's not the voice actors. Like they either have for their streams the voice actors doing it, or they have like the actual developers. And it's like it's not just like, head of marketing or something. It's like, hey, I'm the environmental designer. Let me tell you about the environmental design of the game for this area that we're making.
Yeah, and you want to know something
stuff
cool
like that.
With Honkai Star Rail and Genshin Impact, I don't play Genshin Impact at all, but I watch all the little character trailers because they're awesome.
Yeah.
So, if you get a chance, watch the Sparkle Honkai Star Rail trailer. It's so cool. Like, this character is like a bipolar, like, crazy person. And it's so
part of me,
well,
I kind of want to avoid watching trailers and stuff. So, like, whenever I do jump into the game, I want to, like, experience it all at the same time. So that's why I've been avoiding it. But it's been hard because it's like some of the trailer stuff I have been seeing is so cool, and just like, it's just Hoyoverse gets it. I mean, the way they've been handling Star Rail has been way better than Genshin. Like, for the first anniversary of Star Rail, they gave out a free 5-star character, and it's like, that's what Genshin players were asking for Genshin, and we've never gotten that. And it's like, why not? You just did it for Star Rail, so that's what people want, but...
Absolutely.
But that's at least, I really want to play Star Rail someday. I think once I jump out of Genshin, I'll probably jump into Star Rail.
Yeah. Why don't we start with your news bit, and then we'll...
Alrighty. So they just dropped the trailer for the third Knives Out movie, or, it's like the same character. Think of it like an Agatha Christie type of thing. But, or it's like, it's the same detective. And, he first made Knives Out, which was one of the best murder mysteries I've ever seen. And then somehow was able to replicate that with Glass Onion, a Knives Out story. Wake Up, Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery. So we're going to be getting the third one from Rian Johnson. The really cool thing about the first two is that they're all about like subverting expectations of the genre and whatnot, and they were both able to do it masterfully. So I'm very interested to see what this one does. The trailer doesn't really show much. It was just more of a, hey, look, the third one's coming out soon. Oh, the mystery isn't who did it, it's can they get away with it? And then at the very end of the movie, it's like, it was a who did it, actually. They kind of like flip it on your head twice, and Glass Onion does a really great subversion on like the whole thing, and I won't say what it is because it will spoil the movie, but it's fantastic. I highly recommend watching that one, and it's another fantastic cast again for that movie too.
Nice. And I assume we're going to get this next bit in 2025 as well. Dexter Original Sin. The news came across that they casted Christian Slater, which I believe he will be playing Dexter's father, Harry. But the thing that surprised me the most is that I didn't know they were even making Dexter Original Sin. So it's going to be based on the early days of Dexter in 1991, which I always like time period pieces, even after what they did to me in Dexter New Blood. But one bit of good news, Dexter fans, is that they can't kill him again in this one. I guarantee they can't kill him because it's a prequel.
See. We'll see.
And,
yeah, I'm sure they'll give like Michael C. Hall some sort of role in it or something, like flash forwards or something.
Yeah, I'm good with that. And part of the story will be him as an intern at Miami Metro, so this will be post college, which is kind of, I would like to see maybe if we're going to do a couple seasons of this, let's get his like end of his college life where he's like killing college kids that are like, doing bad stuff on campus or anything.
And we'll get Deb back.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
Oh,
Man, I'm just making me miss original Dexter.
Yep, I still haven't watched it since New Blood ruined it. So
I know it was like every year you'd watch the entire show.
Yep, all 8 seasons every September. So
New Blood was like, hey, like all you have to do is erase the last episode from your memory and just rewatch all of Dexter season 8 and rewatch Dexter New Blood except for the last episode, and you'll have a great time.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know if I can do it.
Yeah, it's crazy because I remember watching New Blood and being like, man, this reminds me of when I like really loved Dexter again. Like the writing is just fantastic again. And like Clancy Brown was fantastic in it as like the antagonist. And then I was like, hey, okay, how do we ruin our show in one episode? It's like, how do we completely ruin Dexter's character? Let's do it. It's like, hey, everyone liked Breaking Bad. Let's give it the same ending as Breaking Bad without ruining it at all.
Terrible.
So bad. Yeah, I could not believe.
Plan to pass the torch to his son went out the window, huh?
Oh, yeah. I mean, because they ruined his character.
Yeah, there's
like, hey, maybe if they had built up to that throughout the season, it would have made sense. They didn't do that.
Throughout this series, there's going to be so much, because Dexter was all about him being a monster, quote unquote, and learning how to become more human. With each kill that he took place in, he would learn something from the person he was killing and literally apply that to his life with Rita or her kids or Deb or whatever, work. But now there's going to be a lot of, what do you call it when they go back and they rewrite history, like that kind of thing? There's a term for it that I'm blanking on totally. But there's going to be a lot of
prequel stuff. Retcon. I think that's
retconning. Yeah. In like a nutshell, I'm going to try and enjoy this series because I am going to watch it. If there was a sequel series to New Blood, I would not watch it. But I'm going to give this a chance. We'll see how it goes. But there's going to be so much retconning that it's going to drive me insane.
Yeah, I was going to say, it had like a sequel series, not in name, because you couldn't call it Dexter.
Yeah, they would have. They would have.
Right?
Dexter, the Harrison years. I don't know. Stupid. Stupid.
Dexter, Next Blood. All right, let's move on.
The seed of Dexter. Oh, we did that with Chucky.
Yeah. That was a very controversial movie. I kind of like it, even though... Well, don't even get me started on Chucky. I could talk about Chucky all day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right, let's move. Encanto. So these are our movies. We did a lot of movies this week. So
I won't go too much into Encanto. I'll just say I avoided watching this movie for so long because I think since Moana, I haven't seen a single Disney movie that I really liked. So it was just a lot of, why would I want, like, I can't even think of like any like Disney movie I've watched all the way through since like Moana. Except I watched Raya. I think we did talk about that and how bad that movie was. And I think especially because of that, I just was not looking forward to Encanto. And I have to say, it is very, very good. Like the Encanto movie, I was very surprised. It reminded me of, like classic Disney storytelling and whatnot. Um, Very good message. It's actually I wouldn't say the movie's better than Moana because I think as a package, Moana is like a better movie. But I would say the writing and the story in the movie is better than Moana's. And it's like a story that I wish I had written kind of idea, where it's like, man, just the way that they really make this a very personal tale. Do you know anything about Encanto?
No.
So essentially the plot or like the premise of the movie is there is a family who was granted magical powers and they use it to kind of like help out the local town, but things start to happen that like starts to like tear away at the magic powers and threatens it going away. And the daughter or one of the daughters who did like, or I guess the only daughter who didn't receive a gift has to find a way to save everything. And it's like, there's a one of the family members has super strength. One of them has they can like super good hearing. Somebody can shapeshift. It's stuff like that. And usually when things get popular, that's another reason why I don't really want to watch them. And Encanto kind of blew up and I was like, yeah, right, no thanks. Especially like the song We Don't Talk About Bruno. I was like, oh, it's probably just like another Let It Go. Whereas like Let It Go is a good song. It's just it was super overplayed, and I'm sick of it now. Same with the movie in general. But yeah, I think this movie like blows even like Frozen out of the water, which is it's a very generic good movie that got over popular. I would highly recommend Encanto to anybody. I could not believe it. I was like, wow, I'm watching a good Disney movie. Think of that, Remember those days when Disney made good movies?
It feels like a long time ago.
Oh, I know. And I'll be getting more into Disney stuff later when we go into our miscellaneous stuff. But just when it comes to Encanto, very pleasantly surprised. Very much enjoyed the movie and its story of like, familial relationships and stuff like that. Like, I don't want to get too much into spoilers because this is a movie I do highly recommend people go and watch.
I'll recommend it to my wife. It's not something I'm gonna watch, but I'll let her know.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. Yeah.
And this main character with the glasses right in front looks like my sister-in-law. It's hilarious. Like
yeah,
even the cartoon.
I only watched the movie because very similar to Raya, I was like, oh, it's one of the key like new franchises added to the Lorcana card game that I play. I was like, just like with Raya, I'd never seen it. Let me watch it so I can understand some of these cards. Whereas with Raya, it was like, oh God, why did I watch this movie? This one, I was like, man, am I glad I watched this movie?
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll go on to your next one.
All right. So even though on our list here, I have The Strangers Chapter 1, I'm going to go to Challengers first because The Strangers Chapter 1 is going to be, for people listening, full spoilers. I'm not going to hold anything back. I'm going to talk about the movie because the entire issues that I have with the movie are spoilers. But Challengers 2024 it's about 3 tennis players, 2 guys and a girl. The one girl from like Spider-Man who's fake Mary Jane Watson, but she's like whatever her name's supposed to be.
The actress's name?
Yeah,
why is it like, not leaving my brain?
Shawnee or something. It's a one-word name. I know that.
Yeah, it's.
Oh well.
What the heck? Something Watson. Oh my gosh, what the heck is her name? I don't know why. Kristen Dunst. You mean right?
No,
Kristen Dunst.
From new Spider-Man with Baby Boy over there.
Oh, Zendaya.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
what did I call her? Tashani? I was close.
Yeah. It's a fake name.
So 2 tennis guys are trying to bang this girl, right? This Zendaya. And she bangs both of them in the same day, or in the same night lets them like really get in there together. Yeah, the whole movie is about her screwing around on her husband, that's one of the guys, to be with the other guy. It's a very bad movie. If you like rom-coms where the main girl gets double teamed by the main guys, then yeah, go for it. Go ahead and watch it. But what I thought I was going to get out of it was a very the trailers portray it as this girl she's competitive. She gets a career-ending injury. So she's showing up to these guys' matches, and the better, whoever is better. So I thought it was going to be like a tennis competition situation, but it turns into just like rom-com, lovey-dovey, this girl's a whore type stuff. It's like new age. It's very 2020 female type of stuff. And you know me, I'm no prude or anything, but the movie kind of skeeves me out a little bit because this girl is acting like she's the victim and all this stuff, and she's just gross. Like she goes out to try and the one guy that she's not with, that she doesn't marry and have a child with, she goes out and is like trying to get him to throw the final match so that her husband can win and like move on to the next tournament or whatever. And instead they bang. Yeah.
And you're really selling me on this. I really want to watch it now.
Yeah, and the whole final like 15 minutes is one match, which if anime did this, if anime took this story and did it, it would be awesome. Because they could do a 15-minute final match. It kind of reminded me of that way. There was a manga I was reading where the entire like final arc is just one basketball game. It's pretty crazy. But anyways, the final match, and then the guy tells him that he banged his wife during the match by doing this little hand gesture thing. So then there's this moment of the guy just got cucked, but he doesn't say anything to the girl. It's just strange.
Better than
Babes? Get any satisfaction out of it. What's that?
Better than Babes?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd watch it 2 different times in a row. Well, I gave it a 2 out of 5 because the acting is done very well. Aside from the man love and like dongs and shit. There's no naked women. It's all dongs and ass.
Who made this movie, a woman or a man?
Has to be. Luca could go either way. Guadagnino. So, could go either way.
No idea. Let's say I'd never heard of that.
Ah, the dude. I bet he's into cuck stuff.
Interesting.
But the acting is done really well. The shots are done really well. Even though I didn't like the final match, the way that they shoot it is done well. Like the camera work is excellent. So I feel like a 2 out of 5 was justified because I did not like the story at all. And this woman was very. And again, you know me, I'm not like Mr. Sunday Church over here. It just was a little. I guess I was just thinking
a little much
from a married man's perspective. So,
well, like, was it necessary?
Right, and then when she gets the two guys to make out, and they're doing it for like literally 35 seconds, like going hard. I'm like, this is not for me. But go watch Challengers if you're into that kind of stuff. But let's move on because I could probably bitch about this for a while.
All right, next movie that I watched, this is one that I wanted to watch a little earlier, but my brother wanted to watch it with me, so we finally got some time, went out and watched The Fall Guy. Because we both watched The Nice Guys together, which had Ryan Gosling, and that's when both of us were like, okay, yeah, we're huge Ryan Gosling fans. And after hearing you talk about it last time, you kind of really lowered my expectations. And I think that might have helped me a little bit because I came out of this movie really liking it. I'm also and like the big thing that this movie has going for it, I'm a big practical effects kind of guy where if you do that and especially show me the behind the scenes stuff, it just makes me enjoy it even more. And I think that's really where this movie like shines. Is it's like, hey, we're gonna show you all like this behind the scenes for how like the stunt world works and whatnot. And it's just a great love letter to part of the movie making community that gets no love ever. Like they even mentioned in the movie once, but it's like, yeah, there's no Oscar for best stunts, and it's like, yeah, why not? Why isn't there an Oscar for best stunts? It makes no sense. It's I mean some of the coolest things you do. Like I'd say like, if if they did have like an Oscar, every year there's a Mission Impossible movie, it probably would go to one of those because that's the big movie where like they really show off their stunts where it's like, yeah, this is real. Everything we do in this movie is real. And that's the crazy thing about the Fall Guy is it's like, yeah, everything they did in that movie was real. Um, they use some CGI to help enhance some of the stuff, but it's like, oh, there's a scene and it's in the trailer where they're on a garbage truck and it's like spinning around and being dragged through the streets. And it's like, yeah, that all was real. They rented out a bridge to record them going down the bridge with Ryan Gosling, hanging onto the back of it with a shovel. It's like it's all real, and that's what makes it even more impressive. I liked the love story in it. Maybe like I said, because my expectations were a little bit more tempered going into it, not expecting it to be as much of a action flick, but maybe because of that, I was expecting a lot less action than we actually got. And I thought a lot of the action and stunt stuff was wonderfully done. So I think I don't think it beat out like it definitely doesn't beat out Boy Kills World, but I do think I liked it slightly more than the Ministry of Ungentle Layer Warfare. Not because it was as fun as that movie, but like the set pieces were a little bit more grand and fun to watch from that aspect. But yeah,
And that's
I'd
one of
highly
the things.
recommend it.
When I was going into it, I expected more of the behind the scenes stuff, which I love as well. More of the Ryan Gosling using his stunt skills to try and recover this actor. I feel like they blew through that way too quickly. I wanted more time where even though spoilers, even though it was a ruse the whole time, I won't, say exactly what, but I wanted more of him, like, coming down from the rafters or like a getaway scene as a driver because people are chasing him because he got in too deep. I feel like they just blew through that too quickly to do more of the Emily Blunt stuff. And I still gave it a 3 out of 5 because of all that other stuff that you mentioned
Mhm.
was so good. Especially, I love the beach scene when he comes back after his injury.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
They set a record for
so
that,
good.
I guess. I
Yeah.
think they said 8.5 or 9.5 rolls. Because I watched after that a video by the Quarter Crew where they had the director on, who is like a stuntman turned director. He worked on like the John Wick movies. He did Bullet Train, which I think was like my number one or number two movie the year it came out. He was the
Yeah.
director of that movie. So I guess yeah, it's a lot less action than the movie compared to that. Whereas like I think Bullet Train is a much better movie than The Fall Guy. However, I
Hmm.
did still really enjoy The Fall Guy. I liked the romance stuff. I liked how it kind of because I guess for me it's like it did feel intertwined in with the plot and didn't feel like tacked on or something like that, where it's like, oh, it actually felt like it belonged in the movie and not something that's like, hey, we have to have a love interest thing and then it took over the movie. I
Yeah.
I, I kind of liked it. Um, but yeah, it's like whenever I'm thinking of this guy's movies, I'd be like, yeah, watch Bullet Train over this movie any day. But like
Yeah.
Aaron Taylor Johnson, I thought was fantastic in the movie as like the actor that the guy that Ryan Gosling stunts for. I thought he was
Yep.
super fun. Winston Duke, or as he was M'Baku in the Black Panther movie, and I liked him in that movie. That's why I was like, oh, I was super sad when they didn't just have him take over. They had to do this whole weird thing with Shuri that didn't end up being good in Black Panther
Oh.
2. But yeah, like it's the other guy that Ryan Gosling knows. Like he's in when they go back to his house. He's the guy that like helps him out in the thing, and he takes the machete or the hatchet. Um, You know who I'm talking about for the movie?
Yeah.
This dude,
Yep.
yeah, he was really good in the movie too. I thought like I said, the way you were talking about it last time, and even though you gave it a 3 out of 5, I think it just really had me thinking like, oh, 90% of this movie is going to be romance stuff. And so I think I just kind of went in with the opposite expectations that you did.
Yeah, I think you greatly benefited
Yeah,
from that.
because you went
Even
in
if
thinking
I
it was going to be
overdid
mostly
it a
action.
bit. Yeah,
Yeah,
and if you went in thinking it was mostly romance, oh,
yeah.
you must have
It,
benefited greatly. So, all
yeah, very,
right.
very happy with that. And then we'll get on to something I'm sure you were very happy about.
Something I'm mostly unhappy about is The Strangers Chapter 1. Now, right off the bat, it's exactly what you think it's going to be. If you've seen either of the first two Strangers movies, you've seen this movie. And the fact that it was Chapter 1 really bothered me because so the whole point of a horror movie is that, hey, maybe the heroes will escape, or hey, maybe the heroes will win. But when you do a prequel and you have the same characters that were, spoilers, killed in the Strangers Pray at Night, I believe it's called, the second one.
I haven't
So,
seen any of them.
oh, yeah. It's the third
Surprisingly,
one.
I've heard really good stuff about the first one, but that's about it.
Yeah, the first one's pretty decent, and honestly, this is basically just it's basically what they did with Star Wars Episode 7. They just did Episode 4 again, but
Oh,
like not as good. So, but the beginning of the movie gives you like some crime statistics, which I thought made it really eerie. It was I can't remember the exact statistics, but it says there are X amount of violent crimes in the United States, meaning since you've been in this theater, there have been 7 or something like that. You know how they break it
yeah.
down? So
Yeah.
it was pretty cool. And it gave me like this, like, ooh, like a little bit of creepiness to the whole feel of the movie. The two main characters I feel are very likable. The girl, I don't remember what I've seen her in before, but let me pull it up here. Madeline Patch and Froy Gutierrez are the two main characters, and they're very good, very likable, but you just know what's coming, right? It's the movie is very obvious.
So, do you mind if I quickly ask, are the
Yeah,
protagonists the same characters from the first movie, or is it like the villains are the same characters from the
oh,
first movie?
the villains,
So then you know that, oh, they're all going to have to survive.
all the villains. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which is
And
that kind of ruins it then.
there was a moment where the guy procures a shotgun. So the whole thing, basically, they're in an Airbnb and in this very, very small town in Oregon. And they get stalked by these creeps. And the whole gimmick is that you don't know who they are. They know your surroundings. The movie starts off with them already have pursued a guy and killed him, like just to get an idea that they've done this before. This isn't their first. So they know the area. You don't. They have all they know even the house that you're living in. You don't, because I guess they set up the Airbnb, but they've been doing this to people the whole time. And it's just really kind of boring because you know what's coming. The movie itself is shot well. The setting for a horror movie is fantastic. You can't get any better than small town in the middle of nowhere. But the problem is they just kept repeating things that they'd done in previous movies. There's a moment in the first one, and full spoilers, Isaiah, you can come back in a minute and a half if you don't want to hear about it. But in the first one, the main guy, the heroes, the guy and the girl are in a closet, or they're in a room, and the guy has a shotgun pointed at the doorway. His friend, who was supposed to pick him up, comes in through the middle of it. Like he was supposed to pick him up from the cabin or whatever that they're in, and the guy ends up shooting him. In this one, the Airbnb host guy is supposed to come to fix the refrigerator because it's not working. And guess what? The main character shoots him with a shotgun. Very, very stupid. There are so many points in this movie where you just it was frustrating how stupid the characters are. There's one point where the main character is left with the villain's truck. Does he get in the truck? Nah, he goes on foot to try and find them. When he finds them, what does he do? He's got a shotgun pointed to one of their heads. Doesn't kill her. We already knew that. So stupid.
Yeah,
If somebody was tormenting my wife and I, they would get shot like within minutes of that. Like as soon as I found a weapon, they would be getting sawed in half. I'm telling you right now.
The problem with movies, the problem with movies like this is when characters make really dumb choices, it really takes you out of it. Especially home invasion movies. That's why, like, I really appreciate well-written home invasion movies like Hush, which I don't know if we talked about this before, but Netflix dropped the license for it, so it's literally impossible to watch anywhere. So it never got a physical release. So you literally cannot watch Hush anywhere. But it's
Not
like
even
one of the best. No, because Netflix didn't. Because it's very similar to like the stuff that's going on with HBO and Discovery, where it's like we don't want to pay to keep the rights or something for it. So it's like we're getting rid of it.
Wow.
So yeah, it's not available on Netflix anymore, which is crazy because it's, I think one of the best home invasion movies I've ever seen. Because every single choice that the main character makes seems very realistic.
Yeah.
It's like, and like they write it very well because it's like the villain takes a lot of options away from her, and it's not just, it's not like one of those, oh, my phone just happens to be dead or something. They make it very clear where it's like, oh, she's deaf and what was it, deaf and dumb. So, or I can't remember if she can't, because she can't speak. And it's like, oh, so he literally comes in, that's what it's mute. She's deaf and mute. And so it's like, she literally can't speak and can't hear, so the guy comes in and takes her phone so that way she can't use it later on.
Yeah.
And like turns off the power so she can't use like the feature on her laptop to call people and whatnot. So it's like, it's not just like oh, my phone died. It's very similar to Abigail, which we talked about last week, where it's like, all right, you guys can't be seen, you have to be off the record, so everyone give me your phones. Like that makes sense. Sure, it's a little contrived that, but that's they don't have their phones on them, but it makes sense for that movie. I don't feel like, oh yeah, he just happened to take away their phones. It's like, oh no, like they would agree to get rid of their phones because they've put themselves in this situation.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're saying like this stuff with like the characters. It's like, oh, he has access to the car and doesn't use it to get away.
Yeah.
Or has a gun pointed at the person and doesn't kill them in self-defense after all that they've done throughout the movie, I'm guessing. It's like...
Yep. Yeah, dumb decisions coupled with repeating things that happened in the two previous movies. Oh, by the way, the guy dies, of course.
Mm-hmm.
The girl ends up surviving. She's in the hospital. And then they do the exact same thing as the second one. And it said to be continued at the end. After all that, we're doing this again.
Yeah, isn't it called Part 1 or something?
Chapter 1, yeah. Or
Chapter 1, yeah. It's like, I hate stuff like that where it doesn't really make much sense. Or like, they just do half a story just to get you in on it and whatnot. Like, and I think, because we both watched this movie, but a movie where it makes sense. I think we both watched this movie. But Mission Impossible, was it part... It wasn't Fallout. What the heck? Dead Reckoning Part 1. Where it's like, that movie is a Part 1, but you get a complete story.
Yeah.
For the movie. And that's why I think they even ended up did they end up dropping the Part 1, Part 2, and they're just having it be under a different name or something? I can't remember. But like, I watched that movie and I was like, I got a complete story with this movie. And sure, I'm excited for Part 2 now, which, is what should be the case. But I'm never going to be like, man, I only feel like I got half a story and I'm only, I'm going to have to watch Part 1 and Part 2 back to back, like Dune, where it's like, I got half a movie when I watched Dune. But yeah, if it's like a to be continued type situation like that, and like what you're describing, it's like, it's not really fulfilling. Sounds like.
No, you ready for this though? So it's been out for 2 weeks. It had an opening weekend of $11.8 million. has made 24 million so far with a production budget of 8.5 million. So we're going to get at least
Wow.
one more, probably fucking seven more, but
How? I've heard nothing good about this movie from the reviewers that I watched. They were less like, yeah, this movie's terrible. At least plot
yep.
wise. Or something.
All right, you want to talk about Mad
Yeah.
Max?
I will. I just want to say in regards to what you just said, that happened, yet Nightmare Alley did terrible at the
Oh
box
my
office.
god.
The Northman did
And
terrible
Boy
at the
Kills
box
World.
office. Yeah, did terrible at the box office. The Strangers did great for some reason because people are stupid and don't watch good movies anymore. I don't
Ugh.
know. All right. Uh, so full transparency here. I've never seen the original Mad Max movies. I've only ever seen Fury Road. And I didn't even
No,
want to watch Fury Road when it came out. I just heard it was good. I watched it and I was like, this is one of the best action movies that I've ever seen because it's like, it just keeps the energy at like a 9 out of 10 the entire movie. And it never gets boring or you never feel too tired out at watching it. So when they announced Furiosa Mad Max Saga, I was like, eh, Furiosa, I like Furiosa and Fury Road, but what made me really like that movie was the type of movie that it was. And I could tell that they're not gonna just, do Fury Road again. That'd make it boring. So I wasn't really planning on seeing this. Then I started to hear really good things about it. So I was like, you know what? I have nothing going on. It was opening day for it Friday, not like the night, but Friday. I was like, I got nothing going on. I got like 4 hours of free time. I'll watch this movie. And I will say I was very pleasantly surprised with what I got, and I actually quite enjoyed it a bit. I think I enjoyed it more than The Fall Guy, actually, even. Um, and
quick
and a big
question.
thing about the movie, yeah.
You said Furiosa is in Fury. So I've never seen Fury Road. I've seen the two original Mad Max.
Okay.
Furiosa, is that Charlize Theron?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
This is a prequel to that, which is why she's played by Anna Taylor-Joy in this movie
Gotcha.
instead of Charlize Theron. But it's funny because Anna Taylor-Joy doesn't show up until like a good hour into the movie because you get the younger actress who plays her for the first hour because it's like she's really young, like maybe 10 or 11 years old. Um,
Gotcha.
and like that actress is phenomenal as well. Like I really like Anna Taylor-Joy as an actress. Like The Witch was I think her first ever movie role, and she was amazing in that. She was really good in The Northman with the what little part she had in it. I liked her in The New Mutants, even though the movie itself was pretty bad. Uh, but very similar to
Forget the menu.
oh yeah, and she's in The Menu as well, and she was really good in that movie too. Give me 1 second, my computer became I don't want it to die. Give me a minute. What really made this movie worth seeing, though, is Chris Hemsworth. Chris Hemsworth is having the time of his life in this movie, playing a very over-the-top kind of character, and just you can tell having so much fun with it. Uh,
No.
but I'm not sure if this is the case with the original Mad Max movies, so you can let me know. But it was kind of the case for Fury Road, which, by the way, I would highly recommend watching Fury Road. One of the best action movies you'll ever see. But in Fury Road, he doesn't talk a lot. And you could actually say he's kind of more like an observer to the events that are going on. I mean, he drives the movie, and if it wasn't for him, the movie wouldn't have happened. But it's more so that these events are happening and taking place, and he just is falling in with them and getting himself involved and whatnot. And I think that's the whole thing. Is like Tom Hardy plays Mad Max in that movie, and he has like very few dialogue lines. In this movie, I'd say Anna Taylor-Joy has even fewer dialogue lines, and she is even more of an observer in this movie. She becomes more prominent near the end of the movie, but it's more of a, stuff is happening to her and she's just along for the ride. And you just kind of get to see this really interesting and cool world play out. And something that's good about this movie and Fury Road is, which you might like, is it's still all made by the same guy, George Miller. He's directed every single one of them. And I think that's the coolest part about this movie is you can tell that this guy still has an amazing eye for like scenery, just catching really cool shots that just make you really like just blow your mind. It's like, wow, this is such a really good visual that I'm seeing here. But yeah, I went into this movie not really thinking I'd like it too much. I like George Miller, but I was like the premise of the movie didn't really get me. But I was very pleasantly surprised with what I got. And I'd actually say of the three movies I watched, this would be the one I'd recommend the most. I just want to see. I think I did put this as my number two movie of the year so far. Boy Kills World, I still think is my favorite, just because like it is super stylized and just everything about that movie just had me so excited and it just had me so in. It was so much fun. Well, this movie, maybe it's because I went in with lower expectations, but I was very happy with what I got.
Nice. So, Destiny 2, I talked about Onslaught, which was like a horde mode that they're going to be taking away because it might just have to do with file size at this point because they keep putting stuff out and then removing it, which is very frustrating. But
yeah,
Destiny 2 Pantheon is a boss rush mode. So week 1 they put it out. Your power level's -5, which doesn't affect it at all. It's very easy to breeze through. Week 2 -10, week 3 -15, and they keep adding bosses to the end with more. My screen just went black. What the hell? They keep adding bosses to the end and subtracting your power. So by the end, I think it's 8 bosses. And they add these tormentors to almost every single fight, which the tormentors are very difficult to kill, especially at -20 power. So I finished it the other day, and it was one of the hardest things that I've ever done playing this. It was the week 4 -20 8 boss to get the Godslayer title. So I just wanted to give credit where it's due because while I think Bungie in itself is a horrible company with awful employees who are just the wokest of the woke. I mean, to be fair, they're in Seattle, so, that's like ground zero for this dog shit. But when they put out good stuff, and they actually, have surprised me with Onslaught and Pantheon, and they dropped those out of nowhere. I want to give credit where it's due. It was excellent. It was difficult, and I had to LFG for this, which is a nightmare.
yeah. LFG is like 100% a nightmare.
Mention something. So, did you fight the boss Tacky or Tachi, whatever?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So,
Tacky.
I was really struggling with this boss, and I was just trying to find the right music. Right, because when I'm struggling with a boss, I've done this since Dark Souls. I need to find a bit of music that matches the fight. When I beat the Orphan of Cause in Bloodborne, which was one of the hardest bosses like of all time, I played the Shinsuke Nakamura theme song. If you ever want to hear the best theme song of any wrestler ever, listen to the Shinsuke Nakamura theme, and it's just a beautiful violins, and it fit the fight perfectly. So I was really struggling with this boss, and my wife's sitting across from me. I was sitting at my desk, and I'm like, I can't really find the music for this. So I'm like, I need something maybe like Master of Puppets, because it's like because the way that she fights. And I came across a song, and I wish I could play it in this, but
Copyright.
Yeah. And I am not. We can get her. I will wake her up, bring her over here. We will get her confirmation. Well, I'd have to go get her first, but we'll get confirmation.
I believe you.
When I played this song, I beat her first try, and it's the song that's like, "Hey, hey, baby, ooh, I wanna know if you be my girl." And once I put the song on and I'm playing it, I was like, oh, because you know, I was saying, master, master, that ooh
Yeah.
fit perfectly, and I whipped her ass. I didn't even need to use that revive thing, whatever it's
Oh,
called.
the heart, the artificial heart.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, it was awesome. One of my favorite gaming moments was realizing that I picked the right song randomly. So much fun. What is it? The Brute? I went and beat that thing just before we started.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. That's the thing with
Yeah,
the
like two
two.
cannonball hands.
Yeah, the guy you fight at the beginning. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
but he's actually like, but you actually have to fight him by yourself and do all his mechanics proper.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that so the tacky fight, I really liked that fight, and especially you get like the mode I was talking about last time, where it, like rewards you for doing perfect dodges.
Yeah.
Tack,
Yep.
slight spoiler there, but tacky mode they call it.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, where it's just like, yeah, you get another meter besides the one that you have, and you charge it by doing like perfect dodges.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that's cool because now it used to be that, okay, even for enemies where I never break I kill them before I do enough perfect blocks to put them off ease. Now for those enemies, I'll just perfect dodge because I can charge that meter, use those really cool attacks you can get. Um, yeah, it's just like after you get that, the game really just feels like, okay, you've got everything at your disposal that you really need to make the combat just really open up. But yeah, I'm hoping I'll have time to play it sometime soon. Like today was my sleep a lot, and then I got some side stuff taken care of, and then tomorrow I gotta go car hunting basically all
Yeah.
day. Like I'm never gonna get any time off. So, yeah,
All
I
right.
do want to
So
play
we just have our miscellaneous and then we can
it.
preview and on out.
So I have a video. It's about a year old, and I think I watched it when it came out a year ago, but I was rewatching it because it was like connected to like Encanto or something. But it was called "So Is Disney Just Never Gonna Have a Real Villain Again?" And you could tell because this came out before Wish came out, and Wish is a whole separate issue where it was supposed to be the celebration of 100 years of Disney, and it was just all the stuff you've seen before with no originality to it. Uh, but it's by a YouTuber I basically watch every video that he does. I think he's fantastic. It's called Chefreless Productions. He covers a lot of the Disney stuff, which is how I learn about a lot of the Disney stuff without ever having to watch it or do all that stuff myself. But he made a video like 6 years ago called like, "So is Disney just doing twist villains now?" Because Disney kind of went through an era where it's like, yeah, all our villains are going to be twist villains, and only like one or two of them are actually good. And it seems like Disney has started a new era where it's like all their villains are going to be, like not actual villains. It's like generational
Yep.
or personal trauma now. And like the only movie that
It's
it's
not
worked
just
well
Disney,
with,
by the way.
it's a lot of
It's not
people.
it's not just Disney is all I was trying to throw in there.
Oh yeah, a lot. I mean, like Disney's like really going all in on it, which is, and I guess he covers a lot of Disney stuff, which is why he's mentioned it. But it was like besides Encanto, where it actually fits with the story that there's no actual villain. There's an antagonist in the movie, but they're not a villain. And it's like besides that, all the movies they've released, like Ralph Breaks the Internet, I think like Lightyear, Strange World, and there's one Ryan the Last Dragon. It's like Ryan the Last Dragon technically has a villain, but they're not the bad guy, and it's like, oh, they never did anything wrong actually, and it's terrible. I mean, like it's bad, but it's all about like, what they have to overcome in the end is not a villain. It's like trauma and personal trauma or generational trauma and stuff like that. And it's like, man, it works in certain movies like Encanto. It just does not work for others. So I haven't seen Strange World, but I've seen a lot of stuff, people talking about it. It came out like a couple years ago. And it's like, it's an advent. Like the thing with Encanto is it's not an adventure movie. The entire movie takes place in this one little town area and mostly actually inside the house. And so it's like they're not going on an adventure. A villain doesn't make sense. But for a movie like Strange World, where it's like an adventure, they have to go out and do something, having a villain to kind of go up against you works. And the movie that he brings up in this video that is like the perfect example of this, where you can have both, is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, where it's like that movie has traditional villains. They're fantastic, but not just that. One of the villains represents personal trauma for Puss in Boots, and that it just makes that villain even more interesting and whatnot. And so it's just like you can still have this stuff and have real villains, and it's not like nobody's doing it because yeah, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish had 3 villains in it. They all were different and amazing and fantastic, and it's like you can still do it. It's just Disney is just they just don't know what they're doing anymore, and it just sucks. And then it's like, all right, we're gonna have Wish come out where, hey, look, it has a traditional villain, except he sucks. The entire movie sucks because it's just, hey, she has 7 friends who are kind of like the 7 dwarves, but they're not dwarves. They just have some of the personalities that are the same as the dwarves. Don't even get me started on Wish. Wish is it's a mess. But yeah, it's like Disney.
Go ahead.
I'd recommend watching the video there because he really goes like in depth on all that stuff. But it's like, man, Disney just can't do anything really good. Or it's like I'm trying to think back, and it's like Disney Animation Studios wise, since 2016, the only good movies that have come out are Moana and Encanto, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's it. And that's crazy. Like, what, that's 8 years worth of movies. And they've had 2 that have been actually like really good.
I'm going to throw one more jab at old Bungie over here.
Oh, yeah.
Every single time in the history of Destiny that there is a female villain, they are turned into sympathetic figures who should not be killed and have to be saved. Every single time. The Witch Queen, that entire DLC where the Savathun steals the Traveler, the entire like source of the light, and distributes it out to the Hive. The entire thing. Oh, but Savathun's not really bad. The Last Wish, all those Orochi and all those little wizard women, no, they're not really bad. And then Riven, the giant dragon, as a female dragon, no, not really that bad. But what did we do to Crota?
Remember
Crota destroyed him and sent him to the Netherrealm. It's very strange. But again,
yeah, remember whatever like the name of the villain was for Wrath of the Machine? It's like they're just all big bad guys that you destroy and kill, villains.
Yep.
Not all of them have to be like, I love a good sympathetic villain, or a villain that has like, and I guess this is the difference. There's a difference between having a villain where you understand where they're coming from, and then a villain where it's like they're actually good and they're redeemable and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like there's a big difference, because I say even like Oryx, where it's like there's a lot of his backstory. Now, I'm sure a lot of it was like super obfuscated in the like the whole like you have to go to a different website to get to it kind of deal and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it's like you look at all the stuff and it's like you get why he does what he does and whatnot. He's still a villain that needs to be defeated and killed, but you really understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we can't do that no more. It has to be, oh, they were never actually in the wrong. They just were misunderstood, and you can show them the better way to do what it is that they want to do and whatnot.
But it's only with the females for Bungie, because the Witness is the final boss of the final shape. I guarantee we dismantle him and blow him up or whatever.
Yeah, because I say even like for the first, like for Destiny 2's main campaign before they did any of the expansions, it's that Emperor dude, and it's like you kill him. At least I think you kill him.
Oh, yeah, eventually.
Callus or something. Yeah, not the guy who's like the villain of the raid, but like of just the main story.
Yeah, he dies. I believe it was in Lightfall. So he dies.
But he became like a guardian or something. But it's like, no, you didn't. You just straight up defeat him and whatnot. Yeah, see, that's why I'm not talking about the guy, because I know who you're talking about. He's the guy who's like the main villain of the raid, where he comes back for Lightfall or whatnot. No, this is like the guy who like overtook the throne from that guy, and then he becomes a guardian because he absorbs like the light from the traveler or something, and then you kick his
Oh,
butt and
you're
kill him.
talking about Null.
Yeah, that's what I think of. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Traveler just disintegrates him.
hmm
All right. So AEW Double or Nothing was this past Sunday, and I mean, I'm in love with this shit. There was such a long time, and I've talked about AEW on this before, but I mostly focused on controversy between AEW and WWE. Mostly the idiots on Twitter who are just WWE freaking marks. But this pay-per-view was about 5 hours long, and it was absolutely brilliant. Was it their best? No. But the reason that I'm talking about here is because this marks the 5-year anniversary of AEW's birth. They started with Double or Nothing back in 2019, and we're full circle right back. They have a match that they've created called Anarchy in the Arena, which it's just ridiculous. It's insane. They fight throughout the arena into the parking lot. One thing I think you'd enjoy was Stadium Stampede from the COVID years. So I don't know if you know this, but the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, his son is the owner of AEW. So
Not know that.
Stadium Stampede, they were allowed to fight in the Jaguars stadium, including on the field. And it was just ridiculous.
In the stadium? Jeez.
Yeah, in the state, and they do this thing. So it was like it wasn't live, but they played it as though it was live.
Mhm.
This guy does a move called a Northern Light Suplex, where he picks you up around your waist and like bridges over and slams you on your back. And then he takes his legs and swings them around and does it again. And they made it look like he did it to this one guy the entire 100 yards of the football field. Because so he would do a couple, and then they would cut to, because it was like a 5-on-5 whatever match. They would cut to someone else, then they would cut back to him, and he's still doing it to the guy there at like the 50-yard line. It's so funny. But this Anarchy in the Arena is exactly what I used to love as a kid about WWF back in the day. I know it's WWE now, but at the time it was WWF. But it's just so much fun. And it just top to bottom, the show's fantastic. A couple decisions I didn't think were as good as I'd like them to be, but a couple matches maybe a little disappointing, but it was a solid B+ show, worth the price of admission. Actually, I'll hit the In a Violent Nature first. So it's a new horror movie coming out. I urge you to go watch the trailer. There are rumors of people getting nauseous and sick in the theaters. It's a slasher, Jason Voorhees style movie. So comes out actually Friday. I think there's Thursday night showings, but the technical release date is this coming Friday. So check that out. I urge you guys to go watch the trailer. And that's pretty much all I'll say about that one.
Who's in that?
Nobody
I think I've just seen a trailer. Okay.
No, I don't think.
Nobody. Okay, then definitely not the trailers. I saw like a trailer for a horror movie that had somebody big in it, but I was like, is it this movie? But if you didn't recognize me, then probably not.
Rye Barrett, Andrea Pavlovic, none of these people I've ever heard of. So
Yeah, no. Okay. Speaking of movies in theaters, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is going to be back in theaters. I think I saw like June 11th and 12th or something like that. And just, yeah, none of you guys saw that movie in theaters when it was in theaters. I'd recommend watching it in theaters. I think it's the best, like, animated, I say kids movie, but, of that vein, like, Disney movies or DreamWorks movies. It's like the best movie I've seen in like 15, 20 years. That's like a animated kids movie. It's just super good, super great storytelling, super great characters, super great villains. It actually has real villains in it. And that's the other crazy thing. You think of movies where it's like, oh, it has 3 villains in it. That's too many. It must feel like stuffed or something. And this movie doesn't feel like that at all. Uh, like I would say, oh, even if you saw the movie at home, go watch it in the theater. It's great on the big screen. I got to catch it right before it left theaters, and it was one of the few movies I watched with my brother, and we both had an amazing time. I'm thinking of even going back and watching it so I can see it in theaters again. Because also, here's the thing, I don't know if it's just a Regal thing that's bringing it back, but it's $1. $1 tickets for the movie.
Oh wow, awesome.
But yeah,
So it's not just an attention grab to try and get that movie more money. It's like an actual, oh, people like this, let's put it back out, because $1
oh
is
yeah.
nothing.
Oh yeah, they have a bunch of movies that they're bringing back, but it was just like I saw that when I was like, oh yeah, because they have like Kung Fu Panda 3 coming back. They have the TMNT movie that came out last year. They have Despicable 3, both the Spider-Verse movies, and then you have like Paw Patrol stuff, Sonic 1 and 2. They're all coming back for like
Just
$1.
time for the kids to get out of school, right? That's the
Yeah.
idea.
So that's why it's called the Summer Movie Express. And it's a bunch of $1 movies. So I'm just like, yeah, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is a kids movie. And it is a kids movie that actually earns the PG rating, though, I'd say. No, a lot, like, it's super easy to say now that a lot of movies that are PG aren't actually PG. They're just G-rated movies. Like, I forget, someone said, like, oh, it was like, I think Jaws is rated PG or PG-13. And it was like, yeah, that's how it used to be back in the day with ratings. And now it's, PG and PG-13 don't really mean anything anymore. Got some very mature stuff, some very scary stuff in it too, where you could be like, man, you don't really see this in kids' movies anymore, but it should be. This should be what a kids' movie is like. Where it's not just a good kids' movie, but it is an excellent movie in and of itself that any adult could enjoy.
All right. And then next week we'll be almost entirely consumed by Destiny 2, The Final Shape, a 28-week season leading up to this, because the Final Shape was supposed to come out 3 or 4 months ago, and it just turned into this long, drawn-out situation. But it did allow me to get into some other games and some other ventures and things, so it wasn't a total waste.
Possible final farewell?
Yeah, this is probably going to be my swan song for Destiny 2, unless this just blows me away so badly that I can't, even fathom putting the game down. But the prismatic subclass is something I'm looking forward to, where you can just pick and choose what you want to take from, like you could do with the solar grenade with the arc melee and like all that kind of stuff. So we'll see how that works out. But I'm debating if I should stream this or not. I'm not exactly sure, but it'll be up on this channel, so we'll see.
Well,
but it's going to be a good time. I'll be very sleep deprived because, of course, it has to drop during my work week. So, but I only
always goes.
Thursday. I took Friday off to do the day one raid, and then Sunday I'll be at the Yankees game. So, yeah,
that's
good.
Nice.
I think that'll do it for us. Let us know what you think down below. Hit us up, all that good stuff, and we will catch you guys later.